Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Power Core Productions and Podcastings. Today's video, we are going to be continuing Dragon Ball World's Strongest. What if Wonder Woman was in Dragon Ball Part 7? As always, if you're new to the channel or if you're a regular and you like what we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is Power Core Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. Where we last left off with our series, Diana had finally arrived back from her training with King Kai in the other world. Now, with her years worth of training under her belt, she looks to turn the tide of battle as she aids her husband Goku and the Z fighters against the Saiyan assault. But how will Diana's new skills prove to be favorable in their matchup against the Saiyans? How will the conclusion of the Saiyan arc lead into things that are to come as we go farther into the reaches of space beyond? For all this and more, stay tuned as we now continue Dragon Ball World's Strongest. What if Wonder Woman was in Dragon Ball Part 7? As always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Goku and Diana would stand together ready for combat. Nappa would go charging in immediately, looking to get the drop on them. However, before he could do so, Goku would intercept and cut him off immediately, beating him back down with little to no effort. Vegeta would check his scouter once again, and now Goku's power level had risen. He went from a mere 3,500 to around 8,500. He was pushing almost 9,000. In his anger, Vegeta would destroy his scouter. Nappa couldn't believe it. He was throwing around Kakarot at the start of the fight. There was no way. Now all of a sudden, it was like he couldn't do anything. Goku would effortlessly defeat Nappa. Nappa forced to retreat and beg for Vegeta's help. However, instead of helping him, Vegeta would throw him away and destroy him. If Kakarot getting his second win just once was enough to outclass Nappa, a Saiyan elite, then it meant that he really wasn't worth his weight in gold after all. Now Vegeta stood alone, facing off between Goku and Diana. However, Goku knew that in the end, he wasn't going to be able to do much in this fight. You see, Goku didn't train with King Kai in this story, Diana did. Because of that, while Goku did have gains on Earth, they weren't nearly as much as they were in the original timeline. It took getting a Zenkai boost to get his power from around 3,500 to around 8,500, maybe pushing towards 9,000 even, meaning that it took all of that just to get his power level up to the base that it was in the original timeline. And without Kaioken, he couldn't take it any higher. In the end, Diana was the only one capable of matching Vegeta at this point in time, as Vegeta's power level was at around 18,000. For Diana, her power level was only at around 5,000, meaning that Vegeta would definitely have the advantage, or at least as you might think. Using the Kaioken, it would multiply and triple her power. And because of her natural body being that of an Amazon, she was much better suited to use the Kaioken for longer periods of time, longer than say someone like Goku would have been able to do. Times 2 would put her at 10,000, and she could use times 2 for about 1 Earth hour. She could use times 3 for about 30 minutes, and that would increase her power to around 15,000. And for about 4 minutes, she could use times 4, which would put her power at 20,000, which would give her more than enough power to outclass Vegeta. But still, the trade-off was a limited amount of time with the power itself. If she was going to win, she was going to have to pace herself, and Diana wanted the challenge. She told Goku to stay off to the side, and Goku knew that he'd have to do so this time around, because he could sense that from Vegeta's power, there was just no way that he could fight. And he knew that his wife definitely wanted to have her chance against the person that harmed her friends. With that, Diana would power up as she used Kaioken times 3, multiplying her strength to around 15,000 solid as the red aura surrounded her. She could feel that it was taxing a little bit, and she had about a half an hour within her. As Vegeta powered up as well, the two would begin their volley of assault, a clash of purple and red. Vegeta definitely held the advantage by around 3,000, but even still, Diana was skilled enough to hold her own, and Vegeta could feel this. As the two of them continued on in their battle, Vegeta would attempt to blast her away with the Gallic gun. However, Diana would use her shield, just being able to barely block it. Even though it was still overpowering, she was able to put in enough force to deflect it at the very least, only for Vegeta to come flying in, delivering a double axe handle slam, knocking her down to the ground. Goku became a bit worried. Of course, he could step in if he needed to, but even still, he could tell that his wife wasn't out of it just yet. Well, I must admit, it seems Kakarot knows how to find a good mate after all. Although I must say it's a shame that a Saiyan would have to find a non-Saiyan woman who's stronger than him. Aw, what's the matter? It seems like you're compensating for your short size. Vegeta would become irked at this, as he went charging towards her once again. However, Diana wasn't out of it just yet. The moment Vegeta got close, she would smirk as she yelled, Kaioken times 4! Her aura would push Vegeta back completely, as her power level reached over 20,000. She would hear King Kai from other world, as he was warning her not to go too far. Diana, you shouldn't overdo it. Using Kaioken times 4, even with your body, will push you to your absolute limits. You'll only have about 4 minutes in this form. If you're going to use it, in the fight now. Diana would nod in understanding, as she went charging towards Vegeta, who now found himself on the back foot. There was no way. He had been dominating this fight from the start, and now suddenly it was like there was no way he could match her. Of course, Diana, she could feel the stress starting to take over. She could feel herself beginning to tire, her muscles beginning to break and tear over and over, as she was pushing herself to her absolute limit. However, even still, Vegeta knew that there was only but so much that he could do. Before he could even have a chance to think, he found himself being knocked all around in the air like a rag doll, before eventually being sent high above. As the sun was starting to set, Vegeta would simply grin. Because you see, with Gohan not being trained in this timeline, and with him being kept safely on Themyscira, with his grandmother who was well aware of his little transformation issue, right now, Gohan was sound asleep in bed, meaning that his eyes wouldn't lay upon the very thing that was rising to the sky, the thing that wasn't destroyed. Well, it seems you should have finished me off when you had the chance, because you're not gonna get another one. Vegeta's body would start to change, as behind him, the might of the full moon would shine. Both Goku and Diana would be horrified, as Vegeta would transform into that of a great ape. Well now, no reason to be scared. Show me all that bravado you had. Diana didn't have much time left with times 4 Kaioken. She would immediately de-transform, knowing that if she kept on the power any longer, she'd have nothing left. She backed away as Vegeta began swatting towards her, knocking her to the ground. However, before he could get another chance, Goku would yell at him. "Hey, over here!" "What? Kakarot?" "Yeah, try this on for size. Solar flare!" Instantly, a bright light would flash. With the aid of the full moon, it stung Vegeta even more, not allowing him to have any chance to see. Goku and Diana knew that this was their chance. With Diana drawing her sword, she would use the last of her strength with Kaioken, attempting to slice off his tail. However, Vegeta knew that this was what they were going to go for. At the last moment, he turned away. Diana only managed to slice off the end tip of the tail, not taking it out completely, although it was still enough for Vegeta to yell in anger. As he went swiping his arms around wildly, his palm would catch Diana as she stabbed her blade through it. Vegeta would curse out in anger as the sword was stabbed into his massive palm, flicking his wrist as the sword went flying away, and Diana went crashing onto the ground. Goku knew that he might be the only one left standing, and he was going to have to make a play now towards Vegeta. As Vegeta slowly opened his eye, at least for one, Goku would charge a fully powered Kamehameha, blasting him in it and blinding him severely.
Damn you, Kakarot! You'll pay!
Goku would try to play keep away, attempting to keep him off as far as he could, as Diana knew that she only had one chance to win. Instantly, someone would appear beside her as she slowly got back to her feet. "Well, it seems you're pretty fast, now aren't you? You know, as much as I like seeing you on the ground right now, we have a much more bigger issue," Chichi would say in her cheetah form. She had managed to get those who were injured to a nearby hospital. They were going to be fine, but while she still had some power left, she knew she could contribute at least. "What on earth? Did it transform?" "Yes, it seems just like how Goku used to do when he was a child." "So what are we gonna do?" "I have something that might be able to stop it, but I'll need you to buy me time." And so now you need my help. Are you going to help me or not, Chichi?" "Of course. I can keep it busy with Goku." "Good. I'm going to need to clear away some space." Chichi would go moving at blinding speeds, running as fast as she could, running under the feet of Vegeta as he looked down to see the little female cat form.
You're back?"
"And this is for Radix!" Chichi would use her claws as she went jumping into the air and slashing away at Vegeta. Using the power of her ki, she would send off massive shock waves of wind that had massive cutting power, cutting away at the chest of his armor just a bit. Vegeta was trying to knock her away, however she would fall back to the ground. Chichi wasn't one for flying, but her speed on the ground was second to none. As she ran all about on the battlefield, Vegeta found it impossible to hit her. It was like playing a game of whack-a-mole, or whack-a-cheetah. Goku knew that he had to make a move. He didn't have much ki left, but he knew that if he could focus it into one attack, he could take down Vegeta. He saw that his wife was getting ready to charge something up, and he told Chichi to keep Vegeta distracted as long as she could. To do anything for Goku, Chichi would gladly, as she went running as fast as her legs could take her. She moved to the point that she seemed as though she were running on all fours. Vegeta could hardly stop her at any point. And as for Chichi though, eventually her luck would run out. As she tried to leap away from one mountainside to another, the backhand of Vegeta would slam into her, knocking her to the ground. Instantly, Chichi would de-transform back into her human state. as Vegeta raised his foot, preparing to smash her into the dirt. I don't think so. Destructo Disc! Goku would use the last of his ki to throw the Destructo Disc. Using his mental ability, he would move the disc with his mind, angling it just enough, as Vegeta tried to take a step back to avoid it. The cutting disc of energy would move between his legs before reappearing on the other side, cutting off his tail as it fell to the ground, and Vegeta would start to revert back to a smaller state. In the meantime, Diana had her hand in the air, taking as much energy as she could from the planet. As she was ready, she would look and aim towards Vegeta as she threw the Spirit Bomb, a small burst of energy taken from that of the spirit of those dwelling on the planet Earth. All of their power combined together for this one attack. As it went flying towards Vegeta, using whatever strength he had left at the last moment, he would blast himself into the air. Diana would collapse onto the ground, knowing that that was all that she had, and the attack was now going directly towards Goku. However, Diana remembered that it was only for those who were pure of heart that wouldn't be harmed by the power of the Spirit Bomb. She would yell to Goku to knock it up, to hold out his hands, and to trust that it wouldn't harm him. Believing and trusting in his wife, Goku would do so. As the Spirit Bomb bounced into his palms, Goku angled it as it went flying directly towards Vegeta, who was in the air, and he had no way of stopping it. The attack would hit home as Vegeta went flying high above into the sky, before a large explosion would occur, seemingly taking him out. As the fighting had now come to an end, Goku would move over to Chichi, helping her up. It seemed as though her leg had been broken, and she felt as though a few ribs were as well. But it wasn't all bad. The two would be arm in arm as they made their way towards Diana, who also helped them up. The fact that they had been able to overcome in this fight was a form of relief than anything else. However, the relief would be short-lived, as not too long after, there would be a thud that would occur, landing back on the ground once more. It was Vegeta. Somehow he was still clinging to life. He was still alive, although now he was ashamed. How had things gotten to this point? Was he that foolish? If he hadn't killed Nappa, he could have actually used that help. Of course, he would never admit this out loud, as now he tried to make his escape. An unlikeliest of ally would come out of nowhere, slicing his back. It was none other than Yajirobe. As Yajirobe felt as though he had gotten a shot on the enemy, he would celebrate, believing he had defeated the alien, only for Vegeta to use the last of his strength to kick Yajirobe in the face into a side of rock. Vegeta wanted to kill him, but he didn't have the power. He reached into his armor and pulled out a calling beacon, as his pod would arrive to him immediately. Chichi, Goku, and Diana looked on as Vegeta turned back towards them, glaring at them in anger. Nothing had to be said. Nothing could be said. But they knew that was a look telling that this fight was far from over, and that they would meet again. But for now, the only thing he could do was take his leave. As Vegeta would enter into his pod, it would fly back into space, the three watching on as it disappeared into the night sky, and what shined over them was the full moon. A full moon that was the sign of their victory. But even still, for the lives that were lost, and even more so for the loss of Piccolo and the Dragon Balls that would go along with them, Now there was no way of bringing those of whom had died back to life. But for now, the only thing they could do was reunite with those who had survived. And for Diana and for Goku, there was another thing that was also of great importance: their son. Tomorrow they would have to deal with the consequences of their loss. But for now, there was a night of celebrating that they had managed to survive with their lives. This concludes What If Wonder Woman Was in Dragon Ball? Dragon Ball World's Strongest, Part 7. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video as we continue Neon Genesis Evangelion Redemption. What if Shinji went back in time? Book 1, Part 7. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. Signing off, and I'll see you next time.